All right, these notes are going to be pretty quick, but at the top, you could put just 3.1 through 3.2. We're going to be going over transformations, okay? All right, so this is going to be a really quick chapter, all right? But hopefully, this should come pretty easy to you, okay? But we're going to be talking about transformations, okay? And we're going to be talking about like 4 different ways that we can use these transformations, and then we'll be able to apply some of them at the same time, okay? So with these transformations, okay, all right, the first thing that we're going to go over is going to be translations. Okay, so we're going to be doing translations, all right, and we're going to be working with X and Y coordinates. Okay, and we're going to look at some examples of translations, okay? So let me go ahead, leave this. All right, get to this. Let me move this sideways. Forgot how to do that for a second. Okay, so the very first one, this says, what is the image point of 7, 0 after a translation of, after a translation right 5 units and down 5 units, okay? If we're going to be going right or left, okay, then up or down, all right? And we're given the coordinates of 7, 0. So if we are given 7, 0, okay, and we are going right 5 units, do you think that's going to affect the X or affect the Y? Yeah, the X, okay? And we're going right 5 units. So do you think we're going to go up, like we're going to add 5 or subtract 5 from our coordinates? Yeah, so we're just going to add because we're going right of the coordinate plane, okay? So what do you think, if we're going to add 5, what do you think my new X is going to be? Yeah, 12, perfect. Okay, and now we go down 5 units, so is that going to affect the X or Y? Y, so if we're going down 5 units, then we're going to subtract 5 from the Y, 0 minus 5, and there's our answer. Okay, I know, really hard, okay? I know, it's tough, it's tough. I know, we'll have to look at number 2 after that one. Yeah, I'll explain this one as much as I can. Okay. So, this says, what is the image point of negative 8, 9 after translation right 3 units, down 1 unit? Okay, we're going right. Are we adding or subtracting? What's negative 8 plus 3? Then down 1 unit, so what's 9? Minus 1, 8. Perfect. Okay, I don't know why all of these questions have right. Okay, but let's say the next one says left, right? It doesn't say right there, it says left. Okay? And then, so this says, what is the image point of negative 8, 7 after a translation left, as we can see? 5 units and up 5 units. Okay, if we're going left, all right, are we subtracting or adding? We're subtracting. So what's negative 8 minus 5? Negative 13. We go up 5 units, are we adding or subtracting? Adding. So positive 12. Okay, I don't think we need to do questions 4 and 5. All right, let's look at 6. Okay, let me try to zoom in if I can. Oh, there we go. Okay, this is determine below the translation that would map figure X onto figure Y. Okay, so this one we have to figure out if the translation is going left or right, and then how many units, and if it's going up or down, how many units. Okay, biggest thing that people mess up on this is you have to read. It says the translations that would map from figure X onto Y. So we're going from X to Y. So we have to pay attention to that. Okay? So the biggest thing that you have to do is I would just find one point. Okay? So I'm going to pick this point right here at negative 1, negative 1. Okay? So right here. And then I got to figure out how it goes from this same point on the figure. So that's going to be, it looks like 6, -5. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and figure out those coordinates. So this one, it's -1, -1. All right, and then this coordinate right here is 6, -5. Okay, am I going right or left from figure X to Y? Right, so I would need to circle that one. I'm just going to underline it, okay? And then how can I figure out how many units right am I going? You can just count, okay? But we got to go to -1 to 6. So we figure out what that is, okay? And we figure out it's 7. So we go right 7 units. All right, now we're going up or down? We're going down, so we go from -1 to -5. Okay, how many units is that? 4. Perfect, and then we're done. Okay? Yeah, pretty easy. Okay, good. Hopefully you're finding that pretty easy. Do this one on your own. Oh yeah. I'm going to pick this point right here. Okay, this point is 3, 9. I know I'm yelling right in the microphone. And then this point is 9, 5. Okay, perfect. Yeah. Okay, we're going to let everyone do it real quick. Yeah, either way, it's fine. I would not use X and Y like that last one because that could throw you off. All right, AJ, what did you get for your translation left or right? All right, did we get right 6 units and then down 4? Is that what we got? Perfect. All right, let's move to the next page. I think we got that figured out. Okay, here's also another thing that you're going to do, okay? You're going to have figures. So we're given this figure, number 11 right here, okay? It says translate the figure 6 units left, 3 units down, okay? So I would need to pick every point. So I'm going to pick this point right here. I got to go 6 over, and then 3 units down, and I have to plot that point, okay? And I'm going to do the same thing with the next point. You have to do that with each point. Okay. All right, so it would look something like this, yeah. Okay, so you need to make sure you plot all the points. Okay, so it would look something like that. All right, yeah. Who knows? Okay, do we understand that part? All right, that's translations. Do we have any questions about translations? No questions? Okay, that's it for section 1. Okay, let's move on to section 2. Okay, this is going to be reflections. All right, and again, we're going to be working with X and Y. Okay, so we got reflections now. Okay, and here's one thing that we need to pay attention to with reflections. Okay? When we go over, here, I'm not going to put over. All right, when we cross the x-axis, okay? Just wait a second. What? Oh my, just write your notes. Well, you can wait with that question. Okay, so when we cross the x-axis, okay, whatever our coordinates are, okay, we have our x and y, all right? When we cross that x-axis, we got to figure out what's going to change, okay? And what's going to change is when we cross that x-axis, okay, our y is going to become, it's going to flip, okay? So see how I have x goes to negative y? When you, so if you had a coordinate here, all right, and you go over the x-axis, coordinate would be here. All right, and the y changes. Okay? Now, pay attention, because if I had coordinates, let's do an example. What if I had the coordinates 3, 2? Okay? If we cross the x-axis, what would it change to? 3, negative 2. Okay? What if I had the coordinates negative 4, negative 5? Perfect. It'd be negative 4, positive 5. Okay? So you just switch the y-axis. So if it's negative, it becomes positive. If it's positive, it becomes negative. Okay? Seem pretty easy? Now what do you think happens when we cross the y-axis? The x changes. So we have negative x, y. I know, whoa. So if I have the coordinates, let's say 3, 2 again, we cross the y-axis, what happens? Negative 3, 2. Okay, what happens if I have negative 4, negative 5 again? 4, negative 5. Perfect. And there we go. All right, and that's pretty much almost it with reflections. But let's look at some examples together. If I can read these. All right, with some reflections, okay, you're going to have to reflect over not necessarily the y or the x-axis, but whatever line it gives you. So I'm going to look at number 18 here. Okay, so number 18, it says we have to reflect over the line of y equals negative 1. Okay, so we need to find how many points from like each point we need to reflect over. So if I look at this point right here, okay, it's on 1. All right, it's on our 1 y. Okay, so we need to count how many it goes down. So it goes down 1, 2. All right, then I just need to go down 1, 2, and this is where my new point's going to be. Okay, or if you look at the, you can't really look at the points here because it doesn't cross the axis. It crosses the negative 1 line. Okay, but pretty much you just have to count down how many points it is. So if you look at this point right here, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, that's how many points it is to the line. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's my new point. Okay? Seem pretty simple? All right, all of these end up saying the y equals negative 1. Okay, that's not always going to be the case. And you'll have some that say x as well. Oops, I did not mean to leave that. Okay, look at 22. This says point P is plotted on the coordinate grid below. Plot point P, the reflection over the x-axis. So my point is right here, okay? So if I look at this point, all right, the coordinates of P are negative 4, negative 6, all right? It wants me to cross the x-axis. So what are my new coordinates going to be? Because just the y changes. So then it says when a point is reflective of the x-axis, what changes? The y. Okay? There. This is like you just count. Okay, the x-axis, it goes over 1, so here's our new point here, like you're reflecting it. So it would look something like, kind of like this. It was what we were doing with the y earlier. Yeah. What? That's what this is. 20? What about it? You're just plotting the points, and it's going to flip. Okay. We got one last thing to look at. All right, we're going to have questions that are like this, okay? This says point W is located at 6, -6 on the coordinate plane. All right. Point W is reflected over the x-axis. Then it's reflected over the y-axis. Okay? We got to figure out the ordered pair. So we have 6, -6. What happens when it reflects over the x-axis? When it crosses the x-axis, the y changes. So we have 6, 6. Then it reflects over the y-axis, so what changes? X. So what do we have? Yeah, really hard. So sometimes you have to do 2. Okay? Pay attention when it does 2, because this one does 2. All right, this one only does 1. This one only does 1. Okay? All right, and that's pretty much it for today. I'll give you the rest of the time to work on homework. On Delta Math.